The quote, "discourse of sobriety," coined by Bill Nichols, refers to documentary's relationship to the real as transparent, direct and immediate. This implies style and form is secondary to the raw content of a documentary. Bill Nichols characterises observation as the non-intervention of the filmmaker. Equipment is often informal, such as handheld equipment and synchronous sound recorders, meaning unobtrusive recordings. The absence of interviews and a god narration means on the surface complete authenticity and sobriety. Key influences such as Robert J. Vertov, the Maysles brothers and John Ruch all show individual style, and our observation is subjected to the filmmaker. The history of the mode has suggested that some filmmakers choose to be more intrusive than others. Therefore, observation being merely spontaneous observation, as the Robson Dictionary likes to define it, is an oversimplified view, and through closer investigation I aim to demonstrate how the quote of discourse of sobriety coined by Bill Nichols is put to question by different observational filmmakers. Vertov's absence of narration, titles and traditional plot storyline in this random collage of events would suggest complete authenticity and complete non-intervention, as Nichols claims. The constructivism movement encouraged a new way of camera shooting, using a portable camera which heightened the immersion for the viewer, allowing heightened engagement for Vertov in the real world, showing the enduring importance of social issues and historical events. This indicates a discourse of sobriety. However, Vertov's use of the split screen, montage editing and rapidly filmed scenes raises the question of whether the camera is a mere observer or rather a creative and manipulative tool to steer a narrative and opinion upon the viewer. Vertov uses documentary to disrupt cinematic illusionism. Vertov transforms this practice from a world of naked truth to the more complex exploration of the lies of society that prevails. Vertov chooses to pay more attention to his female subjects, showing his strong views towards feminism. When shots relate to leisure and sports and social activities, the women are purposely given more screen time than the men. He closely follows the life events of women from childhood to labour, weddings to divorces, from factories to beauty salons, and from sleep to motion in numerous of his scenes within the movie. Here Vertov and his camera engage with the real world by inventing an idealised society of gender equality, life balance and the celebration of athleticism through his own opinion and of course through his own camera lens. Therefore, superficially we may view Man with a Movie Camera as a discourse of sobriety, which conforms to truth, not style. However, upon close investigation, we see a conscious craft of manipulation upon the viewer done in a very subtle fashion. Salesmen by the Maysles brothers engage with the life of 4 salesmen who try to sell Bibles. The Maysles' personal invention of the handheld portable sound recorder meant they could film on the go. The Maysles were able to film inside the houses of the subjects, which meant a high level of intimacy, highlighting the differences from the 20th century to the modern 21st century in ethical issues around filming subjects. For instance, defamation was seen in the documentary Under the Gun through its editing, which did a negative light upon the subjects, which when put into court was put into testimony because it was unfair. Post-war documentary, therefore, especially around the Druze socialist movement, saw a kind of observation whereby there were little ethical boundaries in the filmmaker's approach. There's been a complete immersion for the supposed observing filmmakers. This documentary conveys a critique of American commercial society with its obsessions with status. It exploits the gullible in its trick of offering religion and its promise of afterlife. This is all captured in black and white with the subject exhibiting no awareness of the camera, which makes the film transparent to the audience and therefore conforming to the conventions of the observational mode laid out by Nichols and suggesting a discourse of sobriety and its commitment to cinematic truth. On the other hand, whilst physically we see no interaction with the filmmaker, in the scene where a woman opens the door and refuses to let in the salesman, it's reacting to the subject within the film or the filmmaking crew and their daunting presence. We see elements of pre-rehearsal within the film. The framing of the camera as they arrive on the subject's door is too well framed to suggest they happen to occur to that situation spontaneously. Furthermore, one would only assume that the filmmakers, once they've set up their camera equipment in their homes, are acting intrusive and making the subjects feel self-conscious and therefore altering their normal response for if the camera wasn't there. This teases out the tension between performance and observation, putting into question the undeniable influence a camera can have on a social situation. Thus, is this really a discourse of sobriety or a discourse of intoxication, where the drunk hands of the filmmaker tampers with our perception of truth and knowledge and what we subsequently take from documentaries? Overall, my presentation has proven that whilst mostly the observational mode of documentary conforms to its conventions commitment to actuality and the idea of a discourse of sobriety laid out by Nichols, tension is very prevalent in the author's own views, starting to become the dominant force within observational films, an ongoing tension between observation and performance.